Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. Well, normally we would review MLW, Impact Wrestling, and Ring of Honor. However, there is no MLW for today. Reason behind that is because they were throwing some older clips that we've seen out throughout this year. They're getting ready for their next pay per view, which is Fightland. I'm not 100% sure if this coming weekend, but decided since I already seen these matches, there's no point of doing it. So, as I said before, we're going to do Impact Wrestling in the Ring of Honor. I decided on a judgment call, let's review one of Pro Wrestling Noah's recent events that took place back on the 11th of November, Sunny Voyage in Osaka. So, I'm looking forward to review that one for everyone. And of course, to cap things up, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what wrestling promotions throwing their events, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that have been injured, or wrestlers that have been signed or departing from the respective promotions. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of reviews from various promotions, not only here in the States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We do discussion videos, talk on various topics, such as, of course, the wrestlers themselves, promotions, storylines, wherever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates in case if I'm unable to put it here on this episode. And of course, if you like this channel, please subscribe to us. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. Or if you guys like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or leave us a nice comment down below. Now, let's begin with our very first review. This is from Japanese promotion Pro Wrestling Noah with Sunny Voyage 2023. This took place recently on the 11th of November, which is back on last Saturday. They were, in fact, in Osaka, from my understanding. Now, our first match, we have the Young Boys taking the stage. We have Yu Owada versus Taishi Osawa. Yeah, Owada, Osawa. So, let's just call them the O's because once in a while they team up. But to be honest with you, this match is not much as big as I would have hoped for, but this one shows us who seems more prominent, and I think many of us could agree is Taishi Osawa, who we've seen on various bases in Noah. So he pulled off a very good missile drop kick on him, and boom, just like that, it was over. Next up, we have Roger Stallion teaming up. He's super and he's crazy, super crazy, taking on Hiroki and Atsushi Kotoge. So pretty good match, not gonna lie. But in the end of this, it was in fact Stallion Rogers with a no super crazy a with a roll up on Hiroki picking up the win. So that's a good win for him. Next up, we have a pretty good trios match. Implications that involves the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have Ninja Mac, Alejandro, and Teriyaki versus Alpha Wolf, uh, Dragon Bane, and Extreme Tiger. Now, if you guys may or may not remember, Alpha Wolf and Dragon Bane are the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Champions. Alejandro and Ninja Mac have challenged these belts before, but recently they actually had challenged it before. During a Monday Magic show, they kind of put themselves on the map. Now, this is before the Monday Magic show that took place on this past Monday on the 13th of November. But it was a pretty good match. Of course, there was going to be a lot of high flying spots in this, but in the end of this match, it was in fact Alpha Wolf who picked up the win on Teriyaki, giving, of course, the champs the win on this one. Next up, we have Real, consisting of Shuhei Taniguchi and Saxon Huxley, taking on who is it? Taking on a Fujimara and of course Takashi Sugiura. Now Real has been a very stable team recently, formed by Hideki Suzuki. Uh, there was a lot of powerhouse on this one, but I kind of figured that this one was going to go into Real's uh, win because, of course, Fuji was it? Oh yeah, Fujimura. He doesn't have the necessary experience as, of course, with Saxon and Taniguchi, and of course his tag partner Sugiura. So basically, Saxon put him in a double chokehold power bomb, and it was over right from there. Next up, we have Hajime Ohara, Junta Miyawaki, and Shuji Kondo taking on uh, Yoshinari Ogawa, Leone, and Daga, members of Stinger. Now, Daga, as you or may not have been aware of, I kind of missed this one. Daga is the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. He defeated Hayata for his title. There are implications of this match because either man from the opposing team could pin Daga and get an opportunity of the title. Well, unfortunately, that kind of scenario did play out because it was Shuji Tonga Kondo with a big lariat onto Daga picked up the win. Now, he picked up the win on Daga. There is implications that he could challenge for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion because he has been in that has played. He is a junior heavyweight competitor. If you ever seen him involved, he was in Dragon Gate, which is a junior heavyweight wrestling promotion. Uh, Basically, he could cash it in, but I mean, I was a bit of surprised he didn't actually staked his claim that he could challenge him. I mean, I'm sure Daga is picking up in his head that yes, this guy pinned you and he could get an opportunity of the title, but he didn't. I'm sure he's probably going to cash it in at the appropriate time that suits him. Now, next up, we have Rohei Oiwa, Daiki Inaba, and Masa Kiyomiya. They take on the members of Good Looking Guys, more specifically LJ Cleary, Anthony Green, and Jack Morris. Now, huge implications on this one. Now, keep in mind, Jack Morris is a double champion. He is the current GHC national champion. But him and Green are together. They are, in fact, the GHC heavyweight tag team champions. So anything could happen in either way. So that kind of implication also played out, just like the previous match. It was in fact Daiki Inaba with a some kind of a driver onto Green to pick up the win. I'm sure that's the last thing that both Green and Green and Morris want is to be challenged by guys like Inaba and whoever his tag partner is going to be. I'm sure they're going to keep an eye on that. But like I said on the previous one, um, Inaba hasn't staked his claim, but he could actually cash in that opportunity when it suits him. So that's something I could expect from him as well. Next up, we have Eita, Hayata, and Go Shiozaki. They take on the other members of Good Looking Guys, Tadasuke, Yohei, and Jake Lee. Now, we know in the past Jake Lee and Shiozaki have challenged each other. Now, remember, Jake Lee was the previous GHC heavyweight champion, beating Go Shiozaki. But however, I'm sure Go Shiozaki hasn't forgotten that loss one way or the other. But also a very interesting development. Like you have one of each are heavyweight, two of each are in fact junior heavyweight. That's what I think is a very interesting. This is like a combination of the never open weight championship style, but there's no never open weight in this match. But however, I was impressed that it was Joe Shiozaki with a lariat that sealed the deal on Tadasuke to pick up the win. Now, our main event, this one does have an implication because they're set to challenge each other for the title. On team number one, we have Keito Kiyomiya teaming up with Manabu Soya. He takes on El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. and Keno. So I wasn't too sure how Keno and Wagner will team up, but it seems like were in the same page because keep in mind, Manabu Soya and Keno, they're in fact were former teammates in the same team of Congo. I mean, it was Keno who made the choice to disband the team to give everybody their opportunity to go their separate ways. And of course, as you know, Keno is the current GHC heavyweight champion, beating Jake Lee for the belt. So that kind of sets it up. But of course, Manabu Soya did challenge for this belt, so we're kind of getting previews of this match. But I have to say, it was a pretty good match. But I did say I did like the cohesiveness between both Wagner and Keno. But it was Keno who picked up the win with a crossface on Manabu Soya. Now I'm sure Manabu Soya is disappointed losing this match, but sooner or later he will once again be diagonal against Keno when the time comes for the title match. I think that's pretty much it. So I think it's time to move on to our next review, and I believe that is Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. Now it opened up with a championship match. We have the Impact World Tag Team titles, Kenny King and Sheldon Jean, uh, facing off against the champions, the ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin. Now, this match was originally set from last week. Now, Kenny King was complaining about his digital media title. So, however, Santino Morella, the director of Authority, made this match happen, despite that Kenny did not ask for this. But, of course, this is a way of him for, hey, look, they have championship match, a title. Why not get it yourself? So, that sets it all. But, however, of course, this was going to be a very interesting matchup because, well, we know that ABC are a very good cohesive team. However, we haven't seen rarely between both King and Gene one way or the other. But they were able to hold their own. But unfortunately, it was, of course, Sheldon Gene who suffered the 1-2 sweet. And it was over right from there. And the ABC retained their titles. Now, MK Ultra, our current Knockouts tag team champions, are now putting the entire Knockout division on notice. They send that on a video message. So basically, they are claiming their stake that they run the entire division. So the obvious question is who will step up to challenge them for their tag titles or whatever is going to happen. So we'll see what that takes us. Our next match, we have Moose versus Heath. Now, we know Moose had his fair issues towards Heath in the past. But, however, the X factor of this match, of course, right out in the ring, Moose was accompanied by his BFF, Brian Myers, who has proven his loyalty towards Moose to Heath, to Brian Myers the last time. Now, of course, Heath was, Myers was questioning Moose's loyalty. So basically, this has finally helped them out. But of course, Myers got the distraction of the ref, did help out Moose not to be taken out by the radio call, and then all of a sudden, Moose applied the spears, and it was over right from there. However, Moose and Myers decided to give a beat down to Heath, but here comes Gore, Gore, Gore. Rhino showing up to giving a piece of his mind. However, during the backstage, Moose was not happy that Rhino stuck his nose where it didn't belong. Well, that is his buddy that he was beating up. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, before our next match, we have, of course, the arrival of Conan, who was there. The reasons behind that is because 3 of his luchadors were going to be, in fact, in the same ring. But our first team we have are the Rascals. Of course, we have Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and of course the young goat Myron Reed. They take on Laredo Kid, Black Toulouse, and of course the Juventud Guerrera. Now that is pretty amazing to see them. Now we of course Conan say that he hasn't stepped in an Impact Wrestling ring for almost 15 years. Now this is before they were known as TNA back in the day. Just to make sure everybody understands that. But it was a pretty good match. Of course, there was going to be a lot of high flying spots, no matter where it's going to be. But however, it was Black Toulouse with the Destination Hellhole onto Myron Reed to give the Luchadors their win. Now, our next match is I don't know what to call it, either an intergender tag match or a mixed tag match. That's something that was never clarified for me. But we have Steve Macklin teaming up with Colin King. They take on Bully Ray and Jordan Grace. However, this match tells a very interesting story. Now, Macklin has been accusing Bully Ray that he has gone soft. Now, of course, Bully Ray hasn't said anything about that. We know that recently he has lost the Collier Shot Gauntlet match against Jordan Grace in the last leg of that gauntlet. However, one of Bully Ray's students, of course, you know her, Kylan King, also accuses Bully Ray of gone soft. So that match sets its tone. However, in the end of the match, it was Grace with the Juggernaut driver that in fact put away Kylan King to give them the win. But I'm going to bet that this match also shows that this thing between both Macklin and Bully Ray is far, far from over. Now, we do get a non-title match on this one. Sunny Kiss, who made her appearance this past on the previous pay-per-view, Bountiful Glory, takes on Trinity. Now, Trinity said that she was going to talk to whoever's in charge to make this a title match, but however, they decided to make this in a non-title match. I have to say it was a pretty good match, giving a bit of a taste of what Sunny Kiss can do in Impact. I'm sure many fans are looking forward to it. But unfortunately, it was Trinity with a tailbone, a collar bomb onto Sunny Kiss. Then the pinfall, it was over right from there. Now, before our main event that implicates this one, the Motor City Machine Guns sent out a message to Josh Alexander and, of course, his tag team partner, Zack Sabre Jr., since they will be facing them later on at some point. But our main event features Will Ospreay versus Josh Alexander. Now, that match was going to be a hell of a match no matter what was going to take place. We know we're going to see some incredible stuff that's taking place, but unfortunately, this match ended with Will Ospreay, as always, with the Stormbreaker picking up the win. However, we know that there was an exclusive thing they put on their social media where Ospreay gives his props to Josh Alexander. Of course, 2023 has become his year, but Josh Alexander made it clear that 2024 will be his year. So we'll see what happens in the future for these two. And I think that's pretty much it right now with Impact. Let's move on with Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor. It opened up with Peter Avalon facing off against Trent Beretta, and Trent Beretta did not come alone. He brought his buddies, his best friends, our current TBS champion Chris Statlander and the current AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy. Now, of course, just for the record, those two did not do anything but show moral support for Trent. Now, you probably thought this match was definitely going to go with Trent Beretta, which it did when he applied the strong 0, 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Now, our interview by Lexineer, we do have Dalton Castle. Now, Dalton Castle, he said in the main event to take on Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor World title. Now, we know he has been gunning that belt recently, but he claims that that there will be a huge celebration once he beats Eddie Kingston. Well, Eddie Kingston is no slouch, so we'll see what happens in our main event. Our next match, we have the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum taking on Jacoby Watts and Sebastian Wolf. Now, I don't know who these guys are, but Watts looks more like a preacher, in my opinion, but he was giving his little preach. Then the Outrunners attacked him, but in fact, it was into the Turbo onto a Wolf that picked up the win by Truth Magnum, and giving the Outrunners their win. Now, Lexinger interviews, of course, Matt Seidel and Christopher Daniels. Now, we know that these two guys are determined to be back in the conversation for a shot of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. But they have to face against one of the most fantastic teams, and of course, they're both excellent luchadors, Hijo de Vikingo and Commanders. So they are well aware of their reputation. So we'll see what happens until that. Our next match, we have the Queen, Emi Sakura, taking on Kel. You can guess this match falls in favor to Emi Sakura. I don't know if I've ever seen Kel before. I'm sure that she's part of the independents, but it was a butterfly backbreaker that sealed the deal for Emi Sakura to pick up the win. Now, our next interview, of course, is the Outrunners, who had a pretty good win. They're saying that they're putting themselves now in the conversation. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure they will be in the conversation for a tag team title shot in the future. That is something we definitely could see down the line. Our next match, well, we do have a bunch of boys involved. We have the Bollywood boys, Gurv and Harv, Sarah. They take on the boys, Brent and Brandon. So we have the boys. We have boys everywhere. So that's really funny, including what they said, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman. But it was in fact the boy pendulum on Gurv that picked up the win. I have to say this was a pretty good, interesting tag match from both sides. But of course, the boys picked up the win. But in hopes that this win could give more motivation for Dante Castle to beat Eddie Kingston. Now, as you all know what happened a week ago, Samoa Joe, during an AW Dynamite show, he vacates the Ring of Honor World the Ring of Honor World Television title. Now, the obvious question is, what's the stake about this? What's going to happen now? Well, Tony Khan actually gave his what he's planning to do. Now, he said that there will be a brand new World Television Champion crowned at Final Battle in December. I figured that there was going to do something like that, but there will be a series of six-way survival match. So basically, 6 wrestlers will compete. But how we're going to pick the 6 wrestlers? Well, there's going to be a series of eliminator matches taking place from here on out. So I have to say that's a good, fair way to crown a brand new champion. So we'll see what happens. Who will be the 6 competitors? They haven't said who's going to be in, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. Now, during an interview with Lexi, she interviews the Renegades. Now, of course, Lexi said some words that kind of offended the Renegades about Ellering and Hirsch kind of becoming a well-established tag team, but Renegades find that as offense, saying that the Renegades are more of a stable, a well-established tag team. But however, out of nowhere, Maria shows up. I don't know what's that all about, but I could guess that maybe, just maybe maybe she wants to recruit them. I'm not sure, but we'll see about that. Now, our next match, we have Billy Starks and Athena defeating Brooke Havoc and Johnny Robbie. However, it was Athena with a knee onto Havoc to pick up the win. And now Billy Starks is picking up the habits of Athena during her post-match. So, yeah, so that basically went out of its way. Now, Lexinger makes an interview with Ethan Page. Now, if you guys saw what happened last week, apparently Sterling, being the weasel that he is, made a plea that what happened last week never happened. So it's like, take it off the record. Same thing Ethan Page is saying about Woods and Nice, but Nice was not going to give that the record. However, Ethan Page has been demanding a match against him, but however, because of what's been going on, it seems it's going to happen. But Nice is confident enough to believe that he could beat him even without cheating. That is something that he is confident enough. But he believes that once again, Ethan will apparently lose the match. But we'll see what happens next week after that. Now, our next match is the Renegades, Robin and Charlotte taking on, of course, Rachel Ellering and Layla Hirsch. Now, of course, there was going to be not getting along between Hirsch and Ellering. That's something that to be expected. But at some point, what's her name? Layla Hirsch got hurt outside the ring and all this, but it became a 2-on-1 scenario with Ellering. But it was, of course, Robin Renegade who got rolled up by Ellering to pick up the win. As soon as the match was over, Ellering went to check up on Layla, but here comes Maria who was concerned for her. I don't know if this was part of the plan that Maria wanted or she felt concerned. I don't know. That is kind of strange, but we'll see where that leads us possibly till next week. Now, of course, we do get Athena and Billy Starks. Athena seems like she's proud that she's picking up the habits and all that. So, the MITs, that's pretty much what's going on. Now, our next match, we have Marina Shafir taking on Amira. Well, that match ended with a chokehold. Well, a reverse chokehold, not where your face, you can see them choke, but it was like the front. So that kind of ended the match. You can call it a squash match if you want. Now, our next match, we have Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels taking on Hijo de Vikingo and Commander. You know this match was going to be lit. It was going to be everybody's expectation. Of course, it was going to be a lot of high-flying spots with Vikingo and Commander. But, of course, it was Vikingo with a frog splash onto Christopher Daniels to pick up the win. Now, our main event is, of course, the Ring of Honor World title. Dalton Castle, a former champion himself, takes on Eddie Kingston. Now, you probably will think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Well, yes, it did. I mean, Eddie Kingston is proving that he is a fighting champion. But he has to face against the Peacock, Dalton Castle. But it was a back fist that ended the deal right there. And of course, during an interview in the backstage with Eddie Kingston, he said some things that kind of were true. Like, he's saying that he is a fighting champion because there are those who have been champions who are not defending. Like, for example, Claudio was one of those people that was not defending the belt when he should have been. And of course, there's guys like Jay Lethal who was accusing him, saying that you are dishonoring the Ring of Honor World title. But Eddie Kingston is saying, I am a fighting champion. I'm going to defend it as long as possible. So, but like I said before, it's still no indication when will Jay Lethal get his title match. I'm going to presume that Jay Lethal will have it in Final Battle, which possibly will be like appropriate for him to start by ending Eddie Kingston's reign and starting a new reign in 2024. So I think that's the idea. But we'll see what happens. I think that's pretty much it with all of our reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you so far. Now, as you know, KAOZ, the Mexican promotion, has been announcing for the roster of 2024. More names have popped up. Here they are. We have El Cobarde and Dragón, known as Guerreros de Aire. Emperado Azteca, who I have seen on GLEAT, part of the Black Generation in Mexico. Dinamico, seen him before. Everybody's favorite bandit, Bandito. Daga, Baby Extreme, Dark Zorro, and Demonio Inferal. I don't know who those Demonio Inferal, but yes. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with any of these names, it's okay. So this is the roster they've been adding recently. Now, GCW made some updates for their upcoming events. The first one is going ongoing. We have Mike Bailey versus Maki Ito. That's going to happen real soon, so stay tuned for that one because that's going to happen on Friday. By the time this video is out, it will be Friday already. And then, of course, for the Aftermath show, they'll take place on the 31st of December. There's going to be the Do or Die Rumble match. Now, they haven't said who will be involved. I'm looking forward to see that. Uh, PW Insider reports that Mickie James was not listed in the competing in Impact Wrestling. People speculate certain things that people thought that maybe there is some sort of beef between both sides. No, according to reports saying that no, right now Mickie James is taking a little break. And finally, Fightful Select reports that Kenny King has requested his release from Impact Wrestling, which of course we just saw him now on Impact Wrestling. Well, apparently they granted his release. Very strange, but don't know where he's going to go after that. I wouldn't be surprised if he will go with Ring of Honor, but we'll see what happens until then. But I think right now we're done with everything, so let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have AEW Rampage and NXT. However, I was finally aware that there's going to be a New Japan show, the New Japan, the New Japan Road or something like that. So we'll be doing that. And of course, Stardom has their latest New Blood show, West. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So there's tons of wrestling happening for Friday. So Friday is going to be a very interesting day for everybody. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.